Everybody know who I want next. I want Terence Crawford next.
You're gonna make that happen?
Oh, definitely. That's the fight that I want. That's the fight everybody else want. And like I said, I'm gonna get these straps and I'm gonna go over there and take this shit too.
All right. Errol, congratulations.
Let's go. Yeah, everybody, let's go run, nigga.
Breaking news of boxing pound for pound number 1 and number 2, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, where both exchanged words and agreed to fight each other next. Errol Spence posted strap season, where he stated, quote, "Had some hiccups on the way, but you know what time it is now, champ. Time to be legendary." At Terence Crawford, hashtag the biggest strap season, end of the quote. That's when Terence Crawford responded with, quote, "Bring that shit," end of the quote. This is about to be the most legendary fight we have seen in a generation. In addition to that, Crawford and Errol Spence agreed to fight each other next on Twitter, where Crawford said, quote, "Errol Spence, congratulations, great fight. Now the real fight happens. No more talking, no more side of the street. Let's go." Wink and a handshake emoji. Shortly after, Errol Spence responded with, quote, "Say less, handshake," end of the quote. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the fight of the decade on our hands as Crawford and Errol Spence shake on it man to man. And you best believe, this ain't no Teofimo Lopez handshake. Absolutely not. Crawford and Errol Spence are man of their word. Nevertheless, Crawford ended the conversation with, quote, "Errol Spence, keep my belts warm. I will be coming to grab them later this year," end of the quote. With that being said, this year is about to be the best boxing year we had for over a generation. This fight is about to be so legendary that the winner will be crowned as an all-time great. This fight is so massive, even the loser will be crowned as a legendary fighter. In fact, both Crawford and Errol Spence are legendary right now in their own rights. So from this point forward, Errol Spence and Crawford need to start giving each other the credit they deserve. I'm tired of hearing people say Errol Spence and Crawford are the number 1 and number 2 in the welterweight division. If so, this fight wouldn't be that massive. The reason why this is the fight of the generation is because Crawford and Errol Spence are the true number 1 and number 2 pound for pound in the sport of boxing today. However, Errol Spence and Crawford have successfully allowed old media to deceive the public and make them the dark horses of the pound for pound list. They erased Lomachenko's loss and put him on the pound for pound list over Crawford and Errol Spence. Then when Lomachenko lost again, some way somehow Canelo Alvarez bypassed Crawford on the pound for pound list. At some point, old media even had Inoue on the pound for pound list over Crawford and Errol Spence. Inoue just fought a guy who was 12-2 his last fight. Yep. That's who old media had on the pound for pound list over Crawford and Errol Spence. It seems like today, the pound for pound list is no longer who is the best in the world. Old media turned the pound for pound list into the most liked list, a fighter with the right complexion list, a fighter in an NBF division list. How else would you explain Inoue being on top of Crawford and Errol Spence on the pound for pound list? Who have Inoue beat? Beside a washed-up Donaire, where he got hurt multiple times, by the way. I challenge you to name me anyone Inoue beat of any significance. Nobody? Then when an actual name calls him out in Fulton, old media's pound for pound Inoue has nothing to say and completely ignores Fulton calling him out. This is just one example. Now back to my point. Instead of Errol Spence and Crawford discrediting each other when they about to fight each other, they should at the very least give each other the credit they have already earned, which is being boxing pound for pound number 1 and number 2. See, I'm not asking Errol Spence and Crawford to lie to the public or things of that sort and tell each other things they don't believe. Absolutely not. I'm only asking them to tell the truth about each other, to tell how they really feel about each other. More importantly, give each other the credit they deserve and have already earned, in which if they do anything any different, they only discrediting themselves and messing up their own money. That's right. That's what a lot of fighters don't understand. You can't make Floyd Mayweather money when you don't promote yourself as the Floyd Mayweather, the Michael Jordan, the LeBron of boxing. When you don't promote yourself as the best, then you're not gonna make the best type of money. Fighters don't get paid what's fair. They get paid what they negotiate. For example, if Errol Spence have been telling the truth the whole time about Crawford, giving him the credit he earned by calling him boxing pound for pound number one, then when it's time to make the fight, Errol Spence could go to PBC and request Floyd Mayweather type of money, a Floyd Mayweather type of payday. Why? Because Errol Spence can easily say, y'all want me to fight the pound for pound number one Crawford, and it's the biggest fight in boxing today? It's also the fight of the decade, maybe the generation? Then yeah, I want nothing less. I want nothing short of a Floyd Mayweather type of payday. But the way Errol Spence have been discrediting Crawford this entire time, he's only selling himself short. You don't get what's fair. You get what you negotiate. If Errol Spence is saying Crawford is not pound for pound number one or discredit him, PBC is gonna say, well, this is what we got for you. You're right. Crawford is not the best, so you're not gonna get the best type of money. Since you're not fighting the best in the world, we're gonna save that money for Canelo to continue fighting the European opposition. On the other hand, the same thing applies to Crawford. If he goes to PBC as boxing pound for pound number one, looking to fight boxing pound for pound number two in Errol Spence, then yeah, he can request Floyd Mayweather type of money for the biggest fight in boxing. He has the statistics to prove it, him and Errol Spence. So if they do anything otherwise, they only selling themselves short. But the problem is, that's exactly what Crawford and Errol Spence have been doing, is selling themselves short, completely discrediting each other's accomplishments and achievements. I mean, tearing themselves down. I seen Crawford call it how it is, that he's the best in the world leading up to the Porter fight. Then after he knocked out Porter, a fighter that has never been stopped before. At the time, Porter had the deepest resume in boxing. Right after the fight, Crawford no longer claimed he the best in the world. Again, selling himself short. You don't get what's fair. You get what you negotiate in life. I had to learn that the hard way myself. I'm speaking from experience. See, Crawford and Errol Spence are doing all of this unknowingly. They failed under the old media deception. I mean, old media does have a powerful machine. Just think about it for a second. If you have 100 people in a room and 99 people in the room said that 1 + 1 is equal 3, even though you know for a fact that 1 + 1 is 2, you're gonna start questioning yourself because everyone else is saying otherwise. And that's the old media deception. After old media for years promoted Crawford and Lomachenko as pound for pound number 1A and number 1B. That's always been the topic of conversation for years. Old media even resorted to erasing Lomachenko's loss to justify placing him on top of Crawford on the pound for pound list. Next thing you know, Lomachenko loses again. All of a sudden, some way, somehow, Canelo bypassed Crawford on the pound for pound list. And what's so blatantly biased is that Canelo bypassed Crawford on the pound for pound list when he knocked out the biggest cherry of all time, Avni Yildirim, who was coming off a loss and a 2-year layoff, that Canelo requested to fight himself. At the same time, on numerous occasions, legendary fighters such as Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Barrera, Morales, Chavez Sr., Marquez, and the list goes on and on and on, All of these fighters have been accusing Canelo Alvarez of ducking the best fighters, the best competition, the fabulous four of his time, from the Charlo twins to Andrade to now Benavidez. In fact, Canelo have been ducking Charlo and Andrade for 8 years now. Canelo even turned down his biggest payday at the time for $40 million guaranteed to fight Andrade for Undisputed. Even Crawford mentioned at some point that Canelo shies away from fighting black fighters, undefeated black fighters. I'm not talking about B or C black American fighters. We talking about the undefeated ones. Canelo will request to fight a Z-level black fighter like Makabu just to say, hey, I'm fighting black fighters. But obviously, that don't count. So my point, Crawford knows what time it is because he even mentioned that Canelo is avoiding Andrade and Charlo. Crawford and Errol Spence also know that after Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather, he also robbed Lara. He really lost to Lara. Then he was easily getting outboxed by a fighter that was 2 weight classes smaller than him in Amir Khan. After that, majority of the boxing fans believe Canelo lost to Triple G. However, he ended up robbing him in the process. To make matters worse, Errol Spence and Crawford also know that Canelo Alvarez cheated by taking steroids when he fought Triple G the second time. And ever since then, he has been on a Europe tour. The European assassin Canelo Alvarez created an NBF league in the sport of boxing by requesting an NBF witness protection franchise to duck any black fighter. So when Errol Spence and Crawford know all of this information and still fall for the old media deception because they afraid of the Canelo keyboard warriors in the comment section, they only selling themselves short because it's Canelo who ends up making the Floyd Mayweather type of money, since old media sells him to the public as boxing pound for pound #1, when in our reality, he's the Europe pound for pound #1. You can't claim you the best when you're not willing to fight the best. Just like you can't claim you the fastest man in the world, but you do not want to race any black athlete, even though we all know that the fastest athletes in the world are the black athletes. So the only thing Crawford and Errol Spence are doing is selling themselves short by helping old media push their false narrative. Knowingly or unknowingly, I'm not even sure anymore. But one thing I'm sure about is that Errol Spence and Crawford are helping old media discredit them and deceive the public from the truth. They did a brilliant job. Therefore, from this point forward, hopefully Errol Spence and Crawford do the right thing by doing themselves justice, promoting their fight as the #1 pound for pound undisputed king. This is the deepest division in boxing, and this is the #1 Crawford and the #2 pound for pound Errol Spence going at each other. I truly hope they see the bigger picture. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, Akhi TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.
Free smoke, Junior. They don't know what time it is.
T-Bug Crawford.
Yeah. Everybody know who the champ is at 147, who the king is. And he too small. He's too small. He little. He light in the ass.
Hey, look.
He light in the ass.
Ain't nobody say Floyd was light in the ass.
He's light in the ass. He's not Floyd.
Hey, I told you I was going to pull up on Spence.
Hey, you really already know.
Hey, look.
I love it.
Hey, look.
I love it.
I told him about what that word.
Free smoke.
I told him about what that word.
Hey,
This ain't no Keith Thurman shit. That's why we be scared and shit.